Good morning. Today we'll be studying the 13th chapter of Tefila, Birkat, Cohanim. In this chapter, we'll be dealing with the reading of the Sefer Torah during the year and which parashiyot and which portions of the Torah do we read at specific times. Just a preface to the first halacha that we will read momentarily, that there was the minhag in Eretz Israel was to finish the entire Torah in a period of 3 years, whereas in Bavel they would finish it once a year, as we do to this day. And if anyone wants to see, it's in Masechet Megillah, Talmud Bavli, Daf Chavtet Amud Bet. Halacha Aleph. המנהג הפשוט בכל ישראל, שמשלימים את התורה בשנה אחת. The widespread practice in all of Israel, the entire Torah within the span of 1 year. מתחילים בשבת שאחר חג הסוכות. We begin from the beginning of the Torah, the Shabbat right after Sukkot. וקוראים בסדר בראשית, בשנייה אלה תולדות נוח, בשלישית ויאמר אדוני אל אברהם. We begin with the portion of Bereshit. The second Shabbat we read אלה תולדות נוח. The third Shabbat we read and what God spoke to Abraham. וקוראים והולכים על הסדר הזה עד שגומרים התורה בחג הסוכות. And we read and follow this order, as everyone knows and can see in any Humash, until we complete the Torah the following Sukkot. And there are those who finish the Torah every 3 years, but it's not such a widespread practice. And as I mentioned earlier, it was the minhag of Eretz Israel to finish the Torah every 3 years, but it isn't something we see so much today. Halakha Bet, and again, as I've mentioned previously, Ezra was one of the greatest visionaries for the Jewish people ever had, and made a tremendous amount of tekanot in order to accommodate the Jewish people's situation at the time, and truly revolutionized Yehadut. And this is another one of the tekanot that Ezra made. Ezra תיקן להן לישראל שיהיו קוראים כללות שבספר ויקרא קודם עצרת. ושבמשנה תורה קודם ראש השנה. Ezra established and instituted for the Jewish people that they would read the kelalot that are in Vayikra before Shavuot, and the curses in kelalot that are in Sefer Devarim prior to Rosh Hashanah. והמנהג הפשוט שיהיו קוראים במדבר סיני קודם עצרת. And the widespread practice is to read במדבר, the beginning of Sefer במדבר, before עצרת, ויתחנן אחר תשעה באב, ואתם ניצבים קודם ראש השנה, וצו את אהרון קודם הפסח בשנה פשוטה. And to read the portions of ויתחנן after תשעה באב, and אתם ניצבים before ראש השנה, and צו את אהרון קודם before Pesach in a regular year, not during a leap year. לפיכך, יש שבתות שקוראים בשחרית שני סדרים, כגון אישה כי תזריע, וזאת תהיה, ובהר סיני, ואם בחוקותיי, וכיוצא בהן, כדי שישלימו בשנה, ויקראו אותן הסדרים בעונתן. Therefore, there are some Shabbatot that on that Shabbat, 2 portions are read. For example, Ishat ki tazriya and vezot tiyeh Torah HaMetzora. And similarly, the 2 parashiyot, Behar Sinai and Bechukotai, and anything else, and all of the other double parashiyot that we read during the year, in order for us to complete the 1 year cycle, and in order for us to read the parashiyot at their set times that we mentioned before. And there is significance in regards to why we read the specific parashiyot at these times, but time doesn't really allow for me to expand on each one specifically. Halacha Gimel. מקום שמפסיקים בשבת בשחרית, שם קוראים במנחה ובשני ובחמישי וזה שבת הבאה. In the place where the reading ended during shacharit of that Shabbat, that is where the congregation begins the reading for mincha on Shabbat, and on Monday and Thursday, and the following Shabbat. Ketzad, how so? Shabbat Rishona קוראים בשחרית בסדר בראשית. במנחה קוראים מאלה תולדות נוח 10 פסוקים או יותר, וכן בשני, וכן בחמישי. For example, let's take the first Shabbat of the year, in which we read the portion of Bereshit. After we read Bereshit during Shacharit, during Mincha of Shabbat, we begin the reading from Ele Toledot Noach, and we read 10 Pesukim or more, and we do the same thing on Monday and Thursday of that week. וכן לשבת הבאה בשחרית, מתחילים מאלה תולדות נוח, וקוראים עד סוף הסדר. So too, for the next Shabbat in Shacharit, we begin with Ele Toledot Noach, and we read until the end of the portion. ועל דרך זו קוראים כל השנה, and on following this way, we read the rest of the year. ומפטירין בכל שנה, שבת ושבת, בנביא, מעין שקראו בתורה. And we conclude it with the words of the prophets on every Shabbat, in the words of the prophets, in a similar topic, or a similar subject that we read in the Torah. הלכה ד' בראשי חודשים, הראשון קורא 3 פסוקים מפרשת צו, והשני חוזר וקורא פסוק שלישי, שקרא הראשון ושני פסוקים אחריו, כדי שישרח הפרשה 3 פסוקים. On Rosh Chodesh, the first person who goes up reads the first 3 pesukim from Parashat Tzav. The second reads from the third pasuk, the last pasuk that the first person read, and then the following 2 pesukim, in order to leave 3 verses to the end of the section. והשלישי קורא 3 פסוקים ששייר השני עם וביום השבת, והרביעי קורא ובראשי חודשיכם. And the third person who goes up reads the 3 pesukim that the sheni left off, including וביום השבת, and the fourth reads from ובראשי חודשיכם. ואם חל ראש חודש להיות בשבת, and if Rosh Chodesh happened to fall on Shabbat, מוציאים 2 ספרים בשחרית. We take out 2 ספרי תורה on שחרית. אחד קורא בו סדר אותה שבת, והשני קורא בה המשלים ובראשי חודשיכם. In the first Sefer Torah, we read the portion of that Shabbat, and in the second Torah, the final Ole reads from Uvrashi Chodshechem until the end of the portion. ואם קרא עניין ראש חודש המפטיר קורא, and if the maftir, the last person who will read in the Navi, if he read about the topic of Rosh Chodesh instead of the 7th Ole, he has permission to do so. And we conclude in the words of the Nevi'im with Yeshaya, where he talks about where he talks about Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh Av shechal liot b'Shabbat, and if Rosh Chodesh Av happens to fall on Shabbat, maftirin chodshechem u'mo'adechem san'an nafshi. We conclude also in Yeshaya with the portion of chodshechem u'mo'adechem san'an nafshi. Rosh Chodesh shechal liot be'echad b'Shabbat, and if Rosh Chodesh happens to fall on Sunday, maftirin b'Shabbat shedefanav v'yomer lo yehonatan machar Chodesh. We conclude with the words of the prophet Shemuel, where it talks about Yonatan and David in the story that they had there that begins with Mahar Chodesh. כל הלכה ה' כל העולה לקרוא בתורה פותח בדבר טוב וחותם בדבר טוב. Anyone who goes up to read in the Torah begins with something good and concludes with something good. אבל בפרשת האזינו, however, in regards to פרשת האזינו, הראשון קורא עד זכור ימות עולם, והשני מתחיל מזכור ימות עולם עד ירכיבהו. The first person who reads begins from זכור ימות עולם, and the second reads from זכור ימות עולם to ירכיבהו. והשלישי מירכיבהו עד וירא אדוני וינעץ. And the third from ירכיבהו until וירא אדוני וינעץ. והרביעי מן וירא אדוני וינעץ עד לו חכמו. And the fourth from וירא אדוני וינעץ until לו חכמו. והחמישי מלו חכמו עד כי יסל שמיים ידי. And the fifth from לו חכמו until כי יסל שמיים. והשישי מן כי יסע עד סוף השירה. And the sixth from כי יסע until the end of the song of האזינו. ולמה פוסקין בה בעניינות אלו? And why do we stop specifically at these points, as they are not the best places to stop, and they're not necessarily good things? מפני שהיא תוכחה as the Shira of Ha'azinu is in fact a rebuke from Moshe Rabbeinu. It's in order for the people to return and to do teshuvah, and to encourage people to think about the portion that was just read and to truly try and sway them to do teshuvah. Halacha Vav. Shemona pesukin shebesof haTorah. The last 8 pesukim at the end of the Torah. Mutar likrot otan bevet haKnesset befachot me'asara. It is allowed, it is permissible to read them in the Bet HaKnesset if there are less than 10 people present. Af al pi shehakol Torah umipi Moshe mipi hagevurah. Despite the fact that the entire Torah is the Torah and the law given from God to Moshe, ho'il umashma'an shehen ahar mitat Moshe. However, they sound like they are after the death of Moshe. And it sounds like it's categorically, in a way, a little bit different, just because it sounds like it was written after the death of Moshe. However, in fact, in practicality, there's absolutely no difference in terms of authority of the first letter of the Torah, the Bet of Bereshit, until the Lamed of Yisrael. However, again, because it sounds like they were written after the death of Moshe, it is permissible to read them in a congregation with less than 10 people. Halacha Zayin. Kelalot shebetorat Cohanim en mafsikin bahen. The curses that are in Sefer Vayikra, in Perek Kaf Vav, it is prohibited to stop in the middle of them. Ella ehad koreh otan. However, rather one person should read the whole thing from beginning to end. Matchil befasuk shelifnehen, umsayem befasuk shelacharen. He begins the reading from the pasuk before the curses and ends the pasuk after the curses. Uklalot shebemishne Torah. However, the kilalot and curses that are in Sefer Devarim, if you want to stop in the middle, he has the ability, he may do so. However, practically, the nation Am Yisrael was not accustomed to stop in the middle of them. Rather, one person would read the entire thing straight through. And the reason for this is that in Sefer Vayikra, the curses are in plural, and they are directly from Borei Olam. However, in Devarim, the curses are singular, and Moshe is actually the one delivering the curses. Obviously, Mipi HaGevurah, but again, it's Moshe here speaking in Sefer Devarim, in contrast to the curses in Vayikra that is directly from Borei Olam. Halacha Het. Mafsikin lamu'adot ul Yom HaKippurim vekorin be'inyan ha'mo'ed lo beseder ha'Shabbat. The regular sequences and portions of the Torah reading is interrupted for the holidays and for Yom Kippur. And we read on the holiday that portion that is relevant to the holiday and not necessarily the weekly portion of that week. Moshe Rabbeinu established for the Jewish people that they would read on every holiday the topic of that holiday. And whenever the rabbi of the community would give a speech or would give a topic or a discussion, they would discuss the topic of whichever holiday happened to fall out during that time. And what specifically do they read? During Pesach, we read the portion in regards to the holidays in Sefer Vayikra, Perek Chav Gimel. And it was customary for the Jewish people to read on the first day of Pesach, Mishechu, and also to conclude in the words of the Navi of the Pesach of Gilgal in Sefer Yehoshua, Perek He. Yom Tov Sheni, and in regards to Yom Tov Sheni of Galuyot that the Jewish people keep outside of Eretz Israel, Shor Chesev, Maftirin Befesach Yoshiyahu. We read the portion of Shor Chesev in Vayikra Chaf Bet, and we conclude in the Pesach of the Yoshiyahu HaMelech did in Melachim Bet Perek Chav Gimel. B'Shelishi Kadeshli, on the third day of Pesach we read Kadeshli. B'Revi'i Im Kesef Talvet Ami, on the fourth day of Pesach we read On the fifth, we read Pesolecha. On the sixth day, we read of the portion of Vayasu b'nei Yisrael et Pesach Moado. Yom Tov Aharon, on the final Yom Tov, meaning the seventh day of Yom Tov, we read Vahi Beshalach Ad Sof Hashira, from Beshalach until the end of Az Yashir. Umaftirin Vaydaber David Ladonai, and we conclude with the words of Shemuel. David spoke to God. Ubashemini, and on the eighth day of Pesach, obviously outside of Israel, Kol HaBechor Maftirin Od Hayom Benov La'amod. And on the eighth day, we read Kol HaBechor, and the Haftarah that is read is Od Hayom Benov La'amod. Just something interesting to point out, the fact that on the eighth day of Pesach outside of Israel, we read Od Hayom Benov La'amod, which speaks about the Geulah. And this is a theme that is very interesting. The fact that on the final days on the days of Yom Tov Sheni of Galuyot, in the last portion of them, on the second half of the holiday, and the final day of Yom Tov outside of Eretz Yisrael, we read about the Geulah. Something to point out. And as we'll see later, it is a theme that continues in the other holidays. Be'atzeret, Korin b'shiv'a shavuot, u'minhag pashut shekorin b'yom tov rishon b'chodesh hashelishi, u'maftirin b'merkava. During Atzeret, we read from Shiv'a Shavuot, and it is customary to read on the first day of Yom Tov, the portion of b'chodesh hashelishi, and we end off with the famous Nevu'ah b'Yechezkel Perek Aleph of the Merkava. Uvasheni Korin b'Farashat HaMo'adot, and on the second day we read Vayikra Chav Gimel about the holidays. Umaftirin b'Habakuk, and we conclude with the words of Habakuk. Halacha Yod. Rosh Hashanah Korin b'Chodesh HaShevi'i b'Echad LaChodesh. On Rosh Hashanah we read portion of B'Chodesh Shevi'i b'Echad LaChodesh. Minhag Pashut shekorin b'Yom Rishon b'Adonai Pachad et Tzara, Maftirin v'Yihi Ish Echad min haramatayim. And it is customary, a widespread practice, to read on the first day of Rosh Hashanah b'Adonai Pachad et Tzara, and we conclude with Shemuel Aleph v'Yihi Ish Echad min haramatayim. Ubasheni korin v'Halohim Nisat Abraham u'Maftirin haven yakir li Ephraim. And on the second day we read about the test that Borei Olam did for Abraham, the famous Akedah, and we conclude with a portion in Yirmiyah, which is the portion of Haben Yakir li Ephraim. Halacha Yod Aleph. B'Yom HaKippurim b'Shacharit Korin Acharemot. On Yom HaKippurim in the morning we read Acharemot, Maftirin Kicho Amar Ram v'Nisa, and we conclude with famous Nevu'ah Yeshaya that Ko Amar Ram v'Nisa. B'Mincha Korin ba'arayot shebe'acharemot, kedei sheyizkor v'yikalem kol mi shenichshal be'achat mehen v'yachzor b'tshuva. And on Mincha, we read about the arayot and the forbidden relations that are in acharemot, in order for anyone who transgressed in one of these to remember the covenant and to do teshuvah from them. And v'ashelishi shekoreh b'Torah maftir be'yonah. And the third person and final person who reads in the Torah on Yom Kippurim during Mincha concludes with Sefer Yonah, the Navi of Yonah. And this is something very interesting, that during Mincha we read about the forbidden relations, and obviously Harambam gave the reason that anyone, in order to try and bring back and to have anyone who failed in one of these forbidden relations and to make them do teshuvah, and it's a result of the fact that the base of Judaism is the family and the family unit, and arayot and forbidden relations is something that truly destroy a family. And that's why we want to. This is why we read it on during Mincha of Yom Kippur. Halacha Yod Bet. Besukot, during Sukkot, בשני הימים הראשונים קוראים בפרשת מועדות, ומפטירין ביום הראשון הנה יום בא לאדוני, וביום השני ויקהלו אל המלך שלמה. On Sukkot, the first 2 days, we read the portion of the holidays, and on the first day we conclude with הנה יום Ba'al Adonai and Zechariah. And on the second day, we read about Shlomo HaMelech and how he gathered the Jewish people in Melachim Aleph Perek Het. Vayom Tov Ha'aharon Korin Kol HaBechor Maftirin Vahi Kichlot Shlomo. And on the second and on the final day of Sukkot, we read Kol HaBechor and we conclude with Vahi Kichalot Shlomo. Ul Mahar Korin Vezot HaBeracha Maftirin Vayamot Shlomo. And in the next day, we read Vezot HaBeracha and we conclude with Vayamot Shlomo. V'yesh mi shemaftir achar mot Moshe. And there are some who conclude with Achar Mot Moshe. And on the other days of the holiday, we read about the sacrifices that were brought on the holiday of Sukkot in Bemidbar Perek Chavtet. Halacha Yod Gimel. Ketzad, how so? Bechol yom vayom mechullo shel hamoed koreh shete parashiyot. On every day of Chol HaMoed, he reads two sections. Vayom HaShelishi, on the third day, for example, which is the beginning of Chol HaMoed, obviously outside of Israel. Koreh HaKohen u'yom HaSheni, veLevi koreh u'vayom HaShelishi, veYisrael koreh u'vayom HaShelishi, veLevi koreh vayom HaSheni u'vayom HaShelishi. So the Kohen goes up, reads from u'vayom HaSheni. The second, the Levi goes up and reads Uvayom HaShelishi. The Israel who goes up reads Uvayom HaShelishi, and then the fourth person who goes up reads both portions, Vayom HaSheni and Uvayom HaShelishi. V'chen Vayom HaRevi'i. Similarly, the same thing is done for Yom HaRevi'i, except that on Yom HaRevi'i we read, the first person would read about the third day, second person would read about the fourth day, and so on. Shehu Sheni Shel Cholo Shel Moed, which is the second day of Chol HaMoed. Korin Vayom HaShelishi Vayom HaRevi'i V'al Derech. So he reads, the first person reads Vayom HaShelishi, the second reads Yom HaRevi'i, and the same way, we do the same thing for the rest of the holiday, and the rest of the readings follow this pattern. Yod Daled. Bechol Yom Vayom B'Yamim Tovim V'chen B'Yom HaKippurim U'Shiv'at Yemei Pesach Motzi'in Shene Sefarin B'Shacharit. On every day of the holidays, and on Yom Kippur, and on the 7 days of Pesach, we take out 2 Sifrei Torah for the readings of Shacharit. Ve'echad korin bo tehillah inyanot elu she'amarnu, ve'asheni korin bo oto hayom ha'amur bechumash ha'pekudim. In the first Torah we read about all the topics that we mentioned for each holiday. We have the specific portion that Harambam listed, and the second Torah, we read in it the sacrifice that was brought, that it tells us in Sefer Bemidbar or Chumash Pekudim. Ve'koreh inyan hakorban, ve'hakoreh inyan hakorban hu maftir banavin. Whoever reads in regards to the sacrifice, he is the one who also concludes with the words of the prophets. And the reason why we bring out 2 Sifrei Torah is not to have the congregation wait while we're trying to roll the Torah, because it would take a lot of time sometimes to roll the Torah from one place to another, and we really want to minimize the Torah Tzibur as much as we can. And this is something that we have seen as a theme as well within these halachot, to trying to minimize the time that Tzibur waits, and to really make it a pleasure and a pleasurable experience for anyone to attend Beit HaKnesset. Halachat Tet Zayin. No, Mechila, Halachat Tet Vav. Bechol yom shemotzi'in shene sefarin o shelosha. In every day that 2 or 3 Sifrei Torot are taken out. Im hotzi'u ze achar ze. Keshemachzir et harishon omer kaddish umotzi hasheni. Ukshemachzir ha'acharon omer kaddish. If each Sefer Torah was brought separately, was taken out separately, once the first Sefer Torah was returned, Kaddish is said, and then the second Sefer Torah is taken out. And then after the last final Sefer Torah was put back and placed back in the Aron, Kaddish is said after that. Ukvar amarnu, and we have already said, and it is, we have already mentioned in Perek Yod Bet that it is a widespread minhag for the mashlim and the final person who goes up to say Kaddish, and after to conclude with the word of the Nevi'im. הלכת ט"ז שבת שחלה להיות בחולו של מועד. חול המועד that happened to fall on Shabbat, בין בפסח בין בסוכות. Either Pesach or Sukkot. קוראים באותה השבת ראה אתה אומר אליי, ומפטירין בפסח העצמות היבשות. וכן הייתה בתוך החג ביום בו גוג. And on Shabbat, if, again, Chol HaMoed happened to fall on Shabbat, we read on Shabbat portion in Sefer Shemot, Re'eh Ata Omer Elai, and on Pesach we conclude with the famous Nevuah of Yehezkel Perek Lamed Zayin of the dry bones. And if Chol HaMoed, and if it was for Sukkot, we read about Beyom Bo Gog, the famous Nevuah in Yehezkel also, Perek Lamed Het. הלכה י"ז בחנוכה ביום הראשון קוראים מברכת כהנים עד סוף קורבן המקריב ביום הראשון. On Hanukkah, the first person, on the first day, we read from Birkat Cohanim until the end, and the last, until the end of the first day, the first korbanot of the daily sacrifices brought on Hanukkah, on the in the sanctification of the Mishkan. וביום השני קוראים קורבן נשיא שהקריב בשני, and on the second day we read about the sacrifice that the prince of the second tribe brought on the second day. וכן עד יום שמיני, and so too until the eighth day. קוראים מיום השמיני עד סוף כל הקורבנות עד סוף הסדר. On the eighth day we read from the eighth day until the rest of the korbanot, as there were 12 korbanot and gifts that were brought by the Nesi'im, until the end of the portion. Maftirin b'Shabbat shel Hanukkah min nerot Zechariah. And on Shabbat Hanukkah we read from we conclude in the words of the prophets of Nerot Zechariah. Ve'im hayu shetei Shabbatot, if there were two Shabbatot that happened to fall on Hanukkah, maftirin b'Shabbat rishona b'nerot Zechariah u'v'sheniya b'nerot Shlomo. The first Shabbat we conclude with the candles of Zechariah, the Nerot of Zechariah, and the second Shabbat we conclude with a portion of Nerot Shlomo. Whoever reads about the portion of Hanukkah, meaning the portion of the daily sacrifice that were brought by the Nesi'im on the sanctification of the Mishkan, he is the one who reads in the Navi. Yod Het. Befurim korin b'shacharit vayavo Amalek. For Purim, we read the portion of Vayavo Amalek during Shacharit. B'Tish'a B'Av, B'Shacharit, Korim Kitolit Banim, Maftirin Asof Asifem. During Tish'a B'Av, during Shacharit, we read Kitolit Banim, and we conclude with Asof Asifem. V'Minha Korin Vayhal Moshe Kish'ar Yemeh HaTa'aniyot. During Minha, we read Vayhal Moshe, just as we do in the other fast days. And on the other fast days that we fast for things and events that occur to our forefathers, as Be'ezat Hashem will see in Hilchot Ta'aniyot Perek He. For example, Shiva Asar B'Tamuz, etc. Korin B'Shacharit Uva Mincha. We read during Shacharit and in Mincha. We read in the Torah. Harishon Koreh Vayhal Moshe Arba'a Pesukin. The first one who goes up reads Vayhal Moshe, and he reads the first 4 Pesukim. V'koreh hasheni v'hashelishi mipeso lecha ad asher ani oseh imach. And the third person reads from the second person and third person reads from Peso lecha until asher ani oseh imach. V'ta'aniyot shegozino otam hatzibur mipen hatzarot. In other fast days that are established and decreed by Bet Din on the congregation because of different calamities that are happening. For example, the not having rain or pestilence or any other difficult situation that the Jewish people may be going through at that time. We read the portion that it speaks about the blessings and curses in order for the people to do teshuvah and to humble their hearts when they hear the berachot and kalalot. הלכה י"ט. נהגו כל ישראל להיות מפטירין קודם לתשעה באב בשלוש שבתות בדברי תוכחה. The Jewish people practiced the following. that they would conclude the 3 Shabbatot before Tisha B'Av with rebuke of the Nevi'im. Shabbat Rishona Maftirin Divrei Yirmiyah. The first Shabbat, we read from the first chapter of Yirmiyah, which is truly amazing chapter, if anyone wants to look into it. Sheniya Hazon Yeshaya. And the second Shabbat we read from Hazon Yeshaya, also the first chapter of Yeshaya, and another amazing chapter. Shelishit Echa Hayatel Zona. And the third Shabbat we read also from Sefer Yeshaya, from also the first chapter, from Pasuk Chaf Aleph. V'chen Shabbat she'achar Tisha B'Av maftirin nahamu nahamu ami. And after the first Shabbat after Tisha B'Av, we read nahamu nahamu ami. Minak pashut be'arenu להיות מפטירין בנחמות ישעיה מאחר תשעה באב עד ראש השנה. And it is a widespread practice in the cities that Harambam was living at the time to read after Tisha B'Av until Rosh Hashanah different comforting words from the prophet Yeshaya. V'Shabbat sheben Rosh Hashanah v'Yom Kippurim maftirin Shuva Yisrael. And the Shabbat that is between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we conclude with Shuva Yisrael. Halacha Chaf. Rosh Chodesh Adar shechal להיות בשבת. Rosh Chodesh Adar that happened to fall on Shabbat. קוראים בפרשת שקלים ומפטירין ביהוידע הכהן. We read from the portion of Shekalim, and we conclude with Yehoyada HaKohen. And the reason for this is to remind the Jewish people to give Machatzit shekel on the first day of Adar, as was the practice during the time of the Beit HaMikdash. Bezrat Hashem will see in Hilchot Shekalim in the future, Bezrat Hashem. And similarly, if Rosh Chodesh Adar happened to fall in the middle of the week, even on Friday, we read early. We read the portion of Shekalim the Shabbat before. On the second Shabbat, we read Parashat Zachor. And we conclude with the words of Shemuel, where the portion of Ko Amar Naisevaot. Ve'ezohi Shabbat Sheniya. And which Shabbat Sheniya are we referring to? Kol shechal Purim liot betocha. Ve'afilu be'erev Shabbat. We're referring to the week that Purim is the Shabbat, that Purim is after that Shabbat, even if it is on a Friday. B'shelishit Korin befara aduma maftirin ve'zarakti alechem mayim tehurim. And on the third Shabbat we read portion of the Para Aduma, and we conclude with This reminds the Jews that they have to become tahor in order to bring the Korban Pesach. And which is the Shabbat Shelishit? The one that is immediately preceding the fourth Shabbat. We read HaChodesh Hazeh, which speaks about Chodesh Nisan and the Korban Pesach, and we conclude with Barishon Be'echad LaChodesh. Be'ezohi Revi'it, in which is the fourth Shabbat that we're referring to. Kol shechal Rosh Chodesh Nisan B'yot Betocha V'afilu Be'erev Shabbat. The Shabbat that Rosh Chodesh happens to fall out during that week, even if it falls out on a Friday. Chaf Aleph. Nimtzeta Omer. We find that שפעמים תהיה הפסקה בין שבת ראשונה ושנייה או בין שנייה ושלישית. We find that there may be a regular Shabbat in between the first and second Shabbat, or in between the second and third Shabbat. ופעמים תהיה שתי הפסקות בין ראשונה ושנייה או בין שנייה ושלישית. And there sometimes they might be two regular Shabbatot in between the first and second, and in between the second and third. About בין שלישית לרביעית and מפסיקים. However, between the third and fourth, there will never be a situation that a regular Shabbat will fall in between. Each portion from each of these four parashiyot, the first person who reads in a second Sefer Torah after they read the weekly portion in that Shabbat that they took out with the first Sefer Torah. Rosh Chodesh Adar liot b'Shabbat, v'ya seder ota Shabbat v'ata tetzaveh. Korin שישה מעתה תצווה, עד ועשית כיור נחושת. והשביעי חוזר וקורא כי תישא, עד ועשית כיור נחושת. If Rosh Chodesh Adar happened to fall on Shabbat, and that Shabbat, the weekly portion was Ve'ata Tetzaveh, 6 people read from Ve'ata Tetzaveh until Ve'asita Kiyur Nechoshet. And then the 7th person reads from Ki Tisa until Ve'asita Kiyur Nechoshet. V'im haya seder et Shabbat Ki Tisa atzmah, קוראים שישה מכי תישא עד ויקל, והשביעי חוזר וקורא בספר שני מכי תישא עד ועשית כיור נחושת. If the weekly portion of the Shabbat happened to be ki tisa itself, we read 6 people read from ki tisa until vayakel, and then the 7th person reads from ki tisa until ועשית כיור נחושת in the second Sefer Torah that was brought out. הלכה כ"ג. Rosh Chodesh Adar shechal להיות בשבת. If Rosh Chodesh Adar happened to fall itself on Shabbat, מוציאים 3 ספרים. 3 ספרי Torah are taken out. אחד קוראים בו בסדר היום. The first Sefer Torah, we read from it the weekly portion. והשני קוראים בעניין ראש חודש. And the second Sefer Torah, we read the topic of Rosh Chodesh. והשלישית קוראים בו כי תישא. And the third one, we read the parasha of כי תישא that speaks about shekalim. וכן ראש חודש ניסן שחל להיות בשבת, קוראים סדר היום באחד, ועניינו ראש חודש בשני, והחודש הזה בשלישית. And so too, if Rosh Chodesh Nisan happened to fall on Shabbat, the first Sefer Torah, we read from it the weekly portion, the second one we read about Rosh Chodesh, and the third one we read about והחודש הזה, that talks about Rosh Chodesh Nisan. הלכה כ"ד. ראש חודש טבת שחל להיות בשבת. If Rosh Chodesh Tevet happened to fall on Shabbat, מוציאים 3 ספרים. We take out 3 ספרי תורה. הראשון קוראים בו סדר היום, והשני קוראים בו עניין ראש חודש, והשלישי קוראים בו עניין חנוכה. From the first Sefer Torah, we read the weekly portion. The second Sefer Torah, we read about Rosh Chodesh. And the third Sefer Torah, we read about Hanukkah. חל להיות באמצע השבת, 3 קוראים בעניין ראש חודש, והרביעי קורא עניין חנוכה. If Rosh Chodesh Tevet happened to fall out in the middle of the week, the first 3 people read about Rosh Chodesh, and the 4th reads about Hanukkah. Halacha Chaf Aleph, and this is something extremely, extremely important, and was part of the education that Chachamim had and structured for every Jewish person. אף על פי שאדם שומע כל התורה כולה בכל שנתו בציבור. Despite the fact that every individual hears the entire Torah while in the congregation on Shabbat, חייב לקרות לעצמו בכל שבוע ושבוע סדר שלאותה שבת, שניים מקרא ואחד תרגום. An individual is obligated to finish the weekly portion every single week. He must finish it twice, and he also must read the Targum once along with it. And the Targum that we're referring to here is the Aramaic translation of Ankelos Hager, Ankelos, who was a Roman convert to Judaism, and he actually received and basically got the stamp of approval from Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yehoshua, who are 2 of the greatest Tannaim. And if anyone wants to see it, in Masechet Megillah, Daf Gimel Amud Aleph, and Chachamim, and the Targum Ankelos is the only truly, authoritative translation of the Torah. And Chachamim truly emphasized the Targum and the fact that every individual must read it at least once every Shabbat. Again, every individual is obligated to read the Targum once and finish the Torah twice. And the pasuk that does not necessarily have an Aramaic translation, as we mentioned in the previous chapter, like for example, Birkat Cohanim, he must read that pasuk 3 times until he finishes the weekly portion with the tzibur every single week.